in some communities and in some zip codes, people are suffering disproportionately because of their electric bills and the manufacturing of the of the energy that we consume. We have urban heat islands that happen in our communities. You can tell where they are because of the zip code. These communities, you use more and more AC. You pay upwards to 20 and 30% of your income, but to keep your lights on is what robs your children of having wealth.
Picture this: a massive shareholder-owned utility corporation, Southern Company, dominating the energy industry, exploiting resources, and actively denying the consequences of its actions across the South, denying the climate crisis, and working to dismantle our democracy and reproductive rights.
Southern Company has been a really bad actor in the South for a long time. They have spent money on legislation and legislators that support anti-abortion, anti-voting, anti-climate, anti-democracy. They've even spent money on legislators that tried to overturn the 2020 election.
We are at a point now in our relationship with this energy company and the way that America does business through energy companies. We're not taking this anymore. These folks pollute groundwater, pollute the air, just destroy the community. We're putting them on notice. We're not going to take this anymore.
And this is Mississippi Power, Daniels plant in Escatawpa, Mississippi. This is the water that they use to cool their facility. They use this water. This runs off from their plant right here. And like I was telling you before, the groundwater is, I mean, you see the water right there. So, you know, the groundwater is in order for folks to get their well water, they only have to go like maybe 20 feet, 30 feet, and it contaminates all of that. It seeps into all of that. So when they talk about the lithium in the water, you should be able to see some of these, those piles over there, that's coal. Those piles right there, that's coal. All right, and we all, they say that's clean coal, but that's a myth. There is no such thing as clean coal. Coal is coal. Coal produces what coal produces, which is lithium and carbon. That's not good for the environment, not good for people to be consuming, whether you're breathing it, eating it, drinking it, bathing in it, cooking with it.
Arm in Arm, however, has had the audacity to challenge this Goliath head-on with uncompromising determination.
One of the most important pieces about the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign is that we're doing it across 3 different states across the South: Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Southern Company has subsidiary companies: Mississippi Power, Alabama Power, Georgia Power. So many of us are suffering from the same issues with dirty energy infrastructure across our state, so we figured in order for us to fight back, it was better if we did it together.
We know that in this work, in the climate crisis, that we are up against very well-resourced corporations and power players that have vast amounts of political influence and money. We know our strength lies in people power.
In this documentary, we're going to see how Arm in Arm is exposing the shadows cast and damage done by Southern Company, revealing the extent of their detrimental practices. Let's take a minute and imagine the lush land, trees, and waterways that have been destroyed in the name of profit. Southern Company's relentless pursuit of wealth has left in its wake a trail of environmental devastation across an entire region of the United States.
These folks pollute groundwater, pollute the air, just destroy the community. The most disrespectful to players, to the land, period, across the region.
Arm in Arm brings to light the irreversible damage caused by this behemoth, reminding us of the urgent need for change to save our lives.
Birmingham is a predominantly Black community, and we're sick and tired of breathing this dirty air, and we're sick and tired of all the pollution coming into our waterways and into our land and ecosystems.
It's time for us all to say, enough is enough. Power for Southern people, not Southern Company.
Power for Southern people!
Not Southern Company!
Power for Southern people!
Not Southern Company!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
But wait, what about the often untold human cost behind Southern Company's massive profit margins? Brace yourselves, because this is where things get ugly.
People are paying energy bills that are outrageous, hundreds of dollars every month going towards energy bills, and paying some of the highest electric bills. Energy burden is what we call it in the country.
It's extremely high, and I'm just like, it couldn't be this high for just two people living in a single family home. And I work 9 hours out the day, and my daughter's in school 8 hours of the day. So I don't understand how is that even possible to have a $293 light bill.
My electricity bills, they are, I think, around $200 or $300. So it is the second highest bill that we have after our phone bill.
Southern Company has been extracting from and exploiting poor Black and brown communities here in Mississippi for decades. Their business model really is to poison the planet and charge the people for poisoning the planet. They're literally profiting off of the destruction of our planet and harming people.
It's affecting my community tremendously. Some parents is going without their lights being on, or their gas being on, their water being on. And it put a burden on our Black communities because we want to have the necessities, the things that we need to survive. But when it comes to having to provide for our family, providing for food, or paying a bill, if we have a household have 5 or more, you're going to buy the food for your household and try to find some assistance to help you pay your bills. But in this time and in the community, it's really hard because everybody is not just one family going through this. It's several families being affected by the high cost of the electrical.
Listen as we'll hear how Southern Company shamelessly flaunts their power. Let us uncover the untold stories of economic hardships and communities that are suffering at the hands of their business model and predatory practices.
Climate crisis is real, and it's more than just bad weather. And the only way for us to get out of this situation is we have to move together. We have to agree with the planet, with genocides and apartheids and tornadoes and hurricanes, and what the communities look like after days of bombs and rain. You see, these are symptoms of climate change. And the only way to figure out what to do, we have to trace it back to its roots and find out why most of our planet's wealth is in the hands of a select few, and they don't look like me and you, they don't live like me and you, they don't respect me and you, and I think that connects me and you.
Our seniors are the most vulnerable. They're retired and they can't even retire in peace. People are making life-altering decisions. Should I run my air? Should I not?
Yes.
How can you retire in peace? I mean, this is really an environmental injustice at its finest. It's nothing else that we can really say about it. You're putting people in a predicament between medication, running your air. Due to inflation, people can't even afford to live. Mental health, people rather live on the street.
It's time to expose Southern Company's exploitation of communities for profit, to stand up for the ratepayers' right to a fair and just power bill, to demand that the company change the way it does business. They have a mandate to not just be profitable, but most importantly, to be equitable.
The concept of Arm in Arm is simple. We aim to ignite a transformational era that ends the climate crisis by centering racial and economic justice. We lead with our values, for these are what drive our priorities and ground us in this fight. Every voice counts because we believe that the people can identify the solutions needed for their communities. We are the flooded, the drought-stricken, the broken-hearted, sifting through the ashes. We are the farmers watching our fields yield fewer crops, the poison whether we know it or not, the young and the old struggling to breathe. We are friends, family, co-workers, and neighbors. We are indigenous communities fighting to save our land. These are our struggles, our collective fight. We didn't know it then, but every decision we made and every action we took led us to this very moment. It's time for power for Southern people, not Southern Company.
And when you're talking about companies and practices that only make it worse, we decided that focusing in on Southern Company with the Power for Southern People, not Southern Company campaign is the best way for us to illustrate who the bad actors are and how they do their bad actions and who they're impacting, and most importantly, to tell different stories than the ones the dirty energy companies are telling us. We want to tell the stories from the people who are having the experiences, who have the $500, $600, $700, $800 bills monthly that they can't pay. Those are the stories that we want to tell. A lot of our dirty energy monopoly utility companies have a lot of money, and they try and tell stories and tell people that they're good neighbors and they have good products and services and they take care of the community. It's lies. And we got a whole bunch of lies happening in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and so that's why we're here.
The purpose of the shareholders meeting was to speak directly to the issues, speak truth directly to power, and let them know they're not fooling anybody. And also, with their live stream, to let all the folks that were listening, all of their shareholders, all the people who invest in them to make money, that there are real consequences to them making money.
Through interactions with the community, we learned they couldn't afford their bills. They don't have adequate access to resources.
Whenever there's an increase in any utility, it makes you have to reassess the things that you do daily.
I will forego using my AC system just to make sure I can stay within a certain range for my energy bills.
At my apartment, I have a roommate and we have a dedicated, utility budget set aside, but if we go over it, and it's really easy to go over it, we get charged extra for the month. I spend so much funds on my utility bills that I could be spending on other things, like, certain types of textbooks that I have to share with a friend instead of getting one of my own because I couldn't afford it for the month because I had to set that money aside for my utility bill.
Debating if I want to buy gas for my vehicle or pay my electrical bill.
Penny pinching when it comes to maybe even buying groceries or medications.
Energy is what we use to really make our lives run smoothly. Like, kids use it for their education, We use it to do our work. We use it to cook at certain places. So when we think about these hikes, think about how you're impacting each person directly and how their quality of living can really decrease when you keep hiking up these bills, because a lot of things that they become accustomed to or need to survive will be hindered if they can't pay for their electricity.
Your utilities should be affordable. They should be stationary. They shouldn't fluctuate. In my opinion, utilities should be something that it fits as your basic human rights, like your basic human needs. So why make it hard for people to have?
Yeah, because like we know that Mississippi Power offers things like LEAP programs and things like that, but we don't qualify for that because we're in that medium income, right? We all, we try to work hard. We have these jobs. We work 40, 60 hours a week, and then we still can't afford to not only be a part of the programs that are offered where we're getting assistance, but we can't afford to do it on our own.
We started as a grassroots experiment, bringing awareness of racial, economic, and environmental injustices. We were on the ground, organizing mutual aid, advocating for fair utility rates, and exposing the corporate greed behind one of the nation's largest utility monopolies, Southern Company. We are building a movement, one that rises from the grassroots, fueled by the stories of those affected most. We are shifting the narrative around Southern Company, exposing the truth, and taking our message directly to the streets. Through mutual aid, direct action, and relentless advocacy, we are ensuring that our demands are heard.
Arm in Arm's call to action reverberates across the globe, capturing the hearts and minds of individuals who refuse to stand idly by and allow Southern Company to continue to do business as usual.
We're going door to door because we know that we have the power in the people. It's as simple as just signing on that QR code, putting it on your social media, and just saying, follow the Yellow Brick Road. Because our last call, we had 1,000 people on there, and they shook it up. So this time, we're trying to bring like 10K. Because when they think that we're not going to show up, we can't.
Racial justice is environmental justice. Our lives matter, so does our healthcare, so does our lights, so does our water, all those things. So we have a demand with the National Action Network, which is a group of 200 organizations across the country who are fighting to center racial and economic justice within the climate crisis, basically putting Black people and Indigenous people first. We're out here to bring awareness.
Arm in Arm's dedicated team works to change the narrative around Southern Company by spreading awareness through a grassroots campaign to mobilize a powerful force for change using social media, canvassing, actions, and mutual aid to help pay people's utility bills. They ignite a fire within us, inspiring ordinary citizens to join the fight, uniting as a collective force against Southern Company's grip on our energy future. Now, my friends, here's the best part. Arm in Arm isn't just another passive observer in this tale of corporate villainy, environmental destruction, and climate denial. Oh, no, no, no.
You want me dead, America? Just say that. Just say that. It is up to us to show up for one another. It is up for us to pull up. They do not care about you. I love reminding us this. It is very important that we see the intersectionality. Every building, everybody listens to the sound of my voice are being held accountable. All of y'all. Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like. This is what community looks like.
Because the solutions for our problems come from the people who are experiencing them.
People power. Not Georgia power. People power. Not Georgia power.
The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Morris.
You can come outside and fight against climate justice and not fight against police brutality because they go hand in hand.
Arm & Arm has risen from the voices of impacted people with courage and conviction. By taking a firm, unyielding stand, Arm & Arm and the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign has become the voice calling for change, rallying people to take action against Southern companies.
Let me tell you how this shareholders meeting went. This was the most smug, arrogant display I've ever seen in my life. Now, you folks here in Georgia know that during the pandemic, Georgia Power cut off people's power. Tom Fanning, with a straight face, told the entire audience, with a straight face,
No light.
no cap, tell everybody with a straight face that Georgia Power didn't do that.
They cut off no light.
Where's Neil? Yo, one time for Neil. One time Neil killed it. He was having this conversation with Neil. Neil was like, nah, brother, he didn't say brother, he said, nah, I disagree. And then he referred him to Google so that he could find his own lies, you know?
We are not just passive observers in this crisis. We are the change makers, the truth tellers, the protectors of our future. And we will not stop until justice is served. This is our call to action. We say enough is enough. Now is our time to rally up, stand together, and to demand power for Southern people. Join us, because together we are unstoppable.
I would ask them to just, get out into the communities, have more respect for the people who live in these communities, talk to them more, instead of just making decisions on places you've never been or places you have no recognition of, or there's never any community involvement. Right up the street, right around the corner, we have them building a whole new facility, right? We know nothing about it, right? We just know it's coming. We don't know how it's going to affect us in the future. We don't know how it's going to affect our kids in the future. All we know is that they took down half the trees, which is going to make it even worse for us in times of hurricanes, in times of storms, because there are no more windbreaks, right? To protect the communities that are right behind this property, right here behind the airport. There are long-standing historical communities that are now going to have more problems with storms and flooding because of all the trees and things that they just cut down, and habitats are being just disrupted. So I would ask them to give us more options. Why don't we have wind? Why don't we have solar, right? We don't know about them, and we don't get any information about them. So I think that, that would be some of the things that they could come and ask the communities how would we move forward.
So there you have it, my passionate peeps. Arm & Arm and the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign are fearlessly defying the odds, have taken a bold stance against Southern Company's climate denial and dismantling of our rights as citizens. Through their unwavering pursuit of justice and a better future, they unveil the real-life consequences of Southern Company's actions, raise awareness, and mobilize a formidable force for change.
What I'm really encouraged by is the fact that we keep doing it, we keep getting stronger, and they're going to have to listen to us. At this past Southern Company shareholders meeting, they tried not to even let us in the door. And, they can't do that.
We have a letter to deliver to one Chris Womack at Southern Company. All right, thank you.
Stand by. We could be standing by for a long time.
Amount of people as we've had, why would you be so fearful that we can't get in the building? Can we not get in?
Why did you hit me for? Why did you hit me?
Why are you holding the door?
I know, come. It's a public. Y'all.
Oh my God. I believe he just closed the door.
I can't believe he hit me first. That's what I can't. Yes, that's why I said, why are you hitting me? And then he realized, oh, I did just hit you. Exactly.
You should press charges.
I should.
Just wanted to make sure we could deliver this letter to Chris Womack from Southern Company.
We can't even get in the building. We are locked out of the building.
Southern Company, Georgia Power, we're putting you on notice.
Yes.
No more. The people are watching. The people say no more.
Together, we can rescue our planet and each other. to ensure that no corporation wreaks havoc on our environment or our lives.
If the United States is #1 in carbon emissions, and Southern Company is number 1, 2, or 3, they're the top 5 percentile for the environment.
Remember, a single spark can start a roaring fire. Join Arm in Arm and the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign in this fight, and let's make a difference. Stay bold, stay courageous, and keep fighting for what you believe in.